how do doctor bags work? This is the start of a series of videos on how all of the various equipment in Payday 2 works. You see, Payday 2 is more than just an FPS bank robbing game. This is a team-based shooter, where the survival of you and your crew depends greatly on preparation and pre-planning. One of the most important factors to consider is your equipment. Otherwise known as drops or deployables, these are the items that are placed when you hold down your deploy equipment key, G by default. These items have a wide variety of functionality, ranging from prolonging the life of your crew to directly joining your battle with the police. There are quite a few options for equipment, and some of them have wildly different usefulness depending on context, such as the heist you're playing, what build you're running, whether or not your crew is attempting stealth, and what equipment your teammates are bringing themselves. For such a seemingly small detail, equipment can absolutely make or break a job, so it's a good idea to know what equipment is available to you, what you should bring, and when you should bring it. Your build matters a lot when it comes to equipment. Despite nearly all equipment being unlocked by default, without upgrades from skills, they're very weak and won't last nearly long enough to keep your crew going for longer heists. So with all that said, let's go to the mastermind tree under the medic branch and get started with the doctor bag. On the surface, this piece of equipment simply restores your health upon use, but there's a lot more to it than that. You get a single doctor bag with 2 uses by default. However, this can be upgraded to 2 doctor bags with 4 charges each, totaling to 8 uses via the combat doctor skill. You can tell how many uses a doctor bag has left by seeing how many blood bags are left in the model. Once it's used up, the doctor bag will disappear. When placed, the doctor bag can be interacted with by you or your crew. This takes a short period of time. However, if the perk deck you have equipped has been upgraded to the Fast and Furious stage, you'll use the doctor bag 20% faster. Upon use, it will heal the player that interacted with it to full HP and restore all of that player's downs. Downs are the amount of times a player can lose all their HP and enter the downed state. On most difficulties, all players have 3 downs, although there are some exceptions I'll get to momentarily. By the way, being cloaked or tased to death does not count as a down. When a player has no downs left, the color grading of their screen will start to go gray. People will often refer to this state as gray or black and white. So if a player says something like B&W in the chat, that means they need a doctor bag. If a player gets knocked down again before healing with a doctor bag, they will go directly into custody without any chance to revive them beforehand. When playing on the brutal 1-down difficulty, as the name suggests, you can only be downed a single time before becoming gray. However, on all difficulties, the Ace to 9 live skill will increase your total downs by 1, allowing 4 downs before going gray on most difficulties and 2 downs on 1 down. Regardless, chances are in any loud heist that takes longer than 10 minutes, eventually someone will need a doctor bag. So, when should you bring them? Well, if your team is intending to tackle a heist loud, ideally one player should always have fully upgraded doctor bags. If a heist is longer and more difficult, 2 players bringing maxed out doc bags would be excellent. This especially rings true on heists that involve a lot of moving around, such as Goat Simulator. When a doctor bag is placed, like most equipment, it cannot be moved. So if a player is downed 3 times and realizes they're black and white, they'll need to use a doctor bag as soon as possible, right? Well, if that doctor bag is halfway across the map, guarded by an onslaught of police, there's very little chance the player will be able to make it all the way over there before they're killed for good. So, in these cases, it may be better to drop a doctor bag in cover right near where the grayed out player is. Now, from all of this, you may get the impression that doctor bags should only be used when you're on the brink of certain death. This isn't always the case, although on the other hand, you shouldn't just use a doctor bag every time you lose any health, as you'll run out of charges way too quickly. Context is important. For instance, let's say you've been downed 2 times and have low HP. In most cases, you don't need to use a doctor bag yet. Save it for someone who actually needs it. However, say you and your crew are done with the area you're in and are ready to move on, or are about to make a push for the escape. If that's the case, it may not be a bad idea to quickly patch up with a doctor bag. Like I said, once it's placed, it can't be moved, and if you're about to abandon that area anyways, any charges left in that doctor bag are gonna go to waste. Plus, if the player who placed the doctor bag has the quick fix skill aced, it will also give you a 10% damage reduction for 2 minutes when you patch yourself up. Pay attention to the situation you and your crew are in. Don't go using up all the medical supplies on your minor wounds if you have a teammate with 1 foot in the grave. And besides, if all you're looking for is to regain your health, first aid kits will be what you're after. They're designed to patch up wounds rather than fully restore your downs. I'll have a video on all of the ins and outs of first aid kits soon. However, if you click the button up there right now, you can check out an older video I made comparing the pros and cons of doctor bags versus first aid kits. With all of this said, what's the takeaway here? Doctor bags are an essential tool for successful loud heists. Assuming you aren't playing stealth, at least one player should always bring fully upgraded doctor bags. And two would be even better. They restore your health and allow you to die more times before going straight to jail. They should be used sparingly, but you don't have to limit them to emergencies only. So, if you're running an Inspire build, particularly an armor-based one, I would highly recommend investing in doctor bags. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.